America loves credit. But what happens when the purchase isn't a house or a car? It's a tiger, a private satellite, and a nacho cheese plumbing system. Welcome to 101 Most Absurd Things Americans Have Taken Out a Loan for a ruthless tour of interest rates, bad ideas, and legendary confidence. If your banking app had a gag reflex, this is where it would gag. 1. Let's start with a classic case of terrible judgment. Buying a tiger. A loan was secured to purchase an actual living predator because apparently the risk of foreclosure just wasn't thrilling enough. Imagine explaining that line item to your financial advisor. Well, you see, my portfolio needed more teeth. 2. Ending a marriage is expensive, but some people take it a step further by financing a divorce party. It's the ultimate financial paradox. Borrowing money to throw a massive bash celebrating the fact that you're now officially broke and single. Nothing says, "I'm moving on," like starting your new life with fresh debt. 3. Ever feel like your commute needs plate armor? Someone financed an $8,000 suit and now clanks through Starbucks like a medieval wind chime. HR banned the gauntlets after he dented the Keurig. Great against broadswords, useless against credit card APR. 4. Of all the cosmetic procedures to finance, breast implants for a pig has to be near the top. You heard that correctly. A loan was approved to give a farm animal a boob job, purely for looks. This wasn't for agricultural science, it was about making sure their prize sow was the most memorable contestant at the county fair. 5. Most people spend money to get ghosts out of their house. Then there's the financial genius who took out a loan to actively collect them. We're talking about an entire collection of haunted dolls, each one supposedly carrying its own little demonic tenant. It's a fantastic way to destroy your credit and your sanity at the same time. 6. Imagine being so convinced that Bigfoot is your neighbor that you decide to finance a professional investigation. That's a real thing. Someone borrowed thousands to hire a professional Sasquatch tracker. Instead of a new roof, they invested in thermal cameras and plaster for casting footprints. The search and the payments are ongoing. 7. Securing your financial future is one thing, but what about your taco future? A true visionary took out a loan to purchase a lifetime supply of tacos from their favorite local spot. It was a bold, greasy bet on their own appetite. The tragedy? The restaurant went bankrupt 6 months later, leaving them with nothing but debt and a craving. 8. Apparently the world needed a canine memoir. A proud owner financed a ghostwriter to pen Buster's Bark, a sweeping saga of naps, mailmen, and heroic tail chasing. The book tour ended when the author bolted after a squirrel. Critics called it a little rough. The payments weren't. 9. Billionaires aren't the only ones with cosmic ambitions. At least one regular person decided to visit space by taking out a massive personal loan. They went into a staggering amount of debt for a ticket on a commercial spaceflight. It's the ultimate escape plan, leaving the planet to get away from the financial problems you created to leave the planet. 10. Proving that home security trends from the 15th century are still in style. One homeowner financed the construction of a backyard moat. Yes, a $20,000 loan was used to dig a massive ditch around their suburban house and fill it with water. It didn't stop any intruders, but it definitely became a 5-star resort for every mosquito in the state. 11. In a stunning commitment to fantasy, a loan was taken out for cosmetic surgery to get permanent elf ears. This wasn't for a movie role, it was for life. It's a bold move that ensures you'll be taken seriously in every job interview and will never be able to wear a motorcycle helmet comfortably again. 12. For the pet who has everything, a financed dog wedding. Bone-shaped canapes, a paw print guest book, a DJ blasting "Who Let the Dogs Out" without irony. The honeymoon RSVP'd 2 unexpected guests. Collections and late fees. The dogs got cake, he got creditors. 13. If you can't find a family, rent one. He borrowed to hire actors for a holiday dinner. Mom cried on cue, Dad carved a prop turkey. During dessert, Uncle pulled him aside to ask for a loan. Nothing says authentic like paying by the hour. 14. Here's a new level of petty. Taking out a loan to rent a billboard right across the street from your ex's office. The message? A detailed list of all the reasons the breakup was their fault. It's an expensive way to say I'm not over it, visible to thousands of commuters every single day. 15. If pointy ears aren't your thing, how about permanent vampire fangs? Another enthusiast of the night borrowed thousands for custom dental implants to look like a creature of the night, 24/7. It must make eating a sandwich a logistical nightmare, but at least they're fully committed to the bit. 16. The need for human connection is real, but financing a subscription to a professional cuddling service takes it to another level. This person took out a loan to pay for scheduled platonic snuggling sessions. It's the perfect blend of modern loneliness and old-fashioned financial irresponsibility. 17. Believing that ownership is just a certificate away, someone financed the purchase of a star. Yes, they took out a loan to pay a company to name a distant ball of flaming gas after their girlfriend. A truly romantic gesture that is, in every legal and astronomical sense, completely and utterly worthless. 18. Why use a regular porcelain throne when you can go into debt for a gold-plated one? In a move that screams more money than sense, a homeowner financed a fully functional, gold-plated toilet. It's the ultimate status symbol for literally flushing your money down the drain. 19. Convinced that scientists are all part of a global conspiracy, one man borrowed over $50,000 to fund an expedition to prove the Earth is flat. The plan was to sail a boat to the edge and take pictures. The boat and his credit score are presumably still lost at sea. 20. To feel famous for a day, a person took out a loan to hire a team of fake paparazzi. These actors followed them around all day, screaming their name and snapping photos, creating the illusion of celebrity. It's a brilliant way to get a taste of fame without any of the talent or success. 21. Feeling ignored by his cat, he took out a loan for a pet psychic. After 30 billable minutes, the verdict came in. A bigger window, tuna on Tuesdays, and a new owner with better financial judgment. The cat purred. The bank did not. 22. Desperate to win a Reddit war, he financed a freelance research team to craft a 38-page citation bomb. By the time he posted, the thread was locked, his opponent had deleted the account, and only his interest rate kept the debate alive. 23. Some collect stamps. He financed vintage airline barf bags from defunct carriers, climate-controlled, mint unused. Turns out nothing appreciates like items everyone else begged to throw away, except, unfortunately, his credit score. 24. Looking towards the future, someone took out a massive loan not for a retirement plan, but for cryonics. They financed the preservation of their own head after death, in the hope that future technology could reanimate it. It's a bold gamble, paying today for the chance to be a talking head in a jar tomorrow. 25. In a bizarre bid for self-importance, a person borrowed money to hire a full-time personal mascot. A guy in a furry badger costume followed him to work, to the grocery store, and even on dates, cheering him on with silent, enthusiastic gestures. It's not lonely at the top if you finance your own entourage. 26. For a heated lawn. Not a driveway which would almost make sense in a cold climate. No, this was a loan for an underground heating system to keep the grass green and toasty year-round. It's the perfect solution for someone who wants a $1,000 utility bill just to avoid seeing frost on their petunias. 27. To become a professional wizard. A grown adult took out a $30,000 loan for a master's degree in applied sorcery from an unaccredited online academy. The curriculum included potion making and defensive spellcasting. He's now uniquely qualified to fight off a goblin attack but struggles to pay back Sally Mae. 28. For a life-sized animatronic T-Rex. This person decided their backyard was missing a prehistoric predator, so they financed a roaring, head-turning dinosaur. It's a magnificent statement piece, right up until you default. Just picture the repo men trying to haul that thing away as the whole neighborhood films on their phones. 29. To professionally de-haunt a Toyota Camry. Convinced their used car was possessed by a disgruntled spirit, the owner borrowed $4,000 to hire a team of automotive exorcists. The ritual involved sage, chanting, and a new set of spark plugs. The ghost is gone, but the loan payment is a monthly haunting. 30. A loan to go out with a bang, literally. One forward thinker financed a premium funeral package where their ashes would be mixed with gunpowder and launched into the sky as a grand fireworks display. It's a truly spectacular way to ensure your final act on Earth is leaving your grieving family one last bill. 31. To build a personal backyard catapult. The stated purpose? To launch bags of garbage directly into the dumpsters down the street, bypassing the need to walk. The project was immediately shut down by the city after the first test launch sent a bag of potato peels through a neighbor's window. 32. For a business that involved bottling and selling air from the Grand Canyon. The loan covered travel expenses, thousands of glass jars, and professionally designed labels that read, "Pure Canyon Essence." The business failed shockingly when customers realized that air is generally available for free. 33. To hire a full-time personal narrator. This person borrowed money to pay an actor with a deep, booming voice to follow them around and narrate their daily life. And then David heroically chooses the 9-grain bread. A bold move. It's one way to feel like the main character, I suppose. 34. He financed a climate-controlled doghouse, a scale replica of his home. Running water, central air, a tiny plasma TV. The loan was more than a decent used car. The dog still sleeps in the laundry basket. 35. To buy a small plot of land in Scotland just to be able to use the title Lord. For a few $1,000s in borrowed money, this person became the proud lord of a 1-square-foot patch of mud. The title holds no power, but it looks fantastic on a resume for a job you'll need to pay that loan back. 36. To construct a full-scale replica of the Starship Enterprise bridge in their basement. The loan covered custom consoles, blinking lights, and a captain's chair. It's the ultimate escape pod from reality until the bank calls and reminds you that you can't pay them back with Federation credits. 37. He financed a custom rap about his middle management saga and artisanal cheese habit. The D-list rapper rhymed craft with draft. The video hit 47 views, half from his mom refreshing. The rapper wrote it off. He couldn't. 38. For a high-tech anti-zombie security system. This wasn't just some extra locks. It was a loan for reinforced steel shutters, a perimeter fence with mild electrical current, and a panic room stocked with 5 years' worth of canned beans. The zombie apocalypse hasn't happened, but the bank's collection department is relentless. 39. To purchase an elite flock of competitive herding ducks. This person entered the niche world of duck sports and financed a team of highly trained, pedigreed ducks to give them an edge. Imagine trying to explain to the repo man that the assets he's there to collect are currently swimming in your pond. 40. A loan to pay a hacker to retrieve a lost password for a Bitcoin wallet. The wallet supposedly contained millions. After paying the hacker 20,000 borrowed dollars, the wallet was opened to reveal a grand total of 12 cents and a few expired pizza coupons. A true masterclass in risk management. 41. To build and operate a fleet of drones for the sole purpose of walking a 5-pound chihuahua. This wasn't just one drone, but a squadron, designed to carry the leash and gently guide the dog around the block. The project was ultimately abandoned after the chihuahua declared war on the entire aerial squadron. 42. To fund a lawsuit against God. Yes, someone borrowed money to hire a legal team to sue the Almighty for causing undue suffering and emotional distress. The case was, unsurprisingly, thrown out of court, primarily due to the logistical nightmare of serving the defendant with a subpoena. 43. For an intensive 2-month yodeling course in the Swiss Alps. The stated goal? Not personal enrichment, but to become proficient enough to perfectly annoy a neighbor who constantly played loud music. It worked. It also resulted in an eviction notice for creating a public nuisance. 44. To commission a life-sized, anatomically correct chocolate statue of himself for a birthday party. It was a stunning monument to vanity and confectionery art. A magnificent centerpiece, right up until an intern, feeling a chill, turned up the venue's thermostat. 45. To hire a professional line stander to secure a spot for the release of the iPhone 25. Not the next one, but one projected to be released over a decade from now. He's not just buying a service, he's financing a multi-year commitment to be first in line for a product that hasn't even been invented. 46. To finance the acquisition of rare and vintage traffic cones from around the world. What started as a quirky hobby spiraled into a debt-fueled obsession. His wife eventually gave him an ultimatum. It's me or the pylon from the 1988 Winter Olympics. The cone now sits in his new, much smaller apartment. 47. A $20,000 loan to invest in a revolutionary perpetual motion machine, a device that handily violates several fundamental laws of physics. The inventor and the borrowed money vanished, leaving behind only a very expensive paperweight that, shockingly, does not move. 48. To install a custom car horn that, instead of a simple beep, belted out the entirety of Luciano Pavarotti's Nessun Dorma. It turned every traffic jam into a dramatic emotional climax and earned him a record-breaking number of public disturbance citations. 49. He put a discreet alibi service, fake itineraries, doctored photos, phony receipts, on credit. His spouse never noticed. The IRS did. Turns out, covering your tracks doesn't count as a legitimate business expense. 50. To remove all the furniture from their living room and permanently convert the entire space into a wall-to-wall, adult-sized ball pit. It seemed like a fantastic idea for parties, but the simple act of finding the TV remote became a deep-sea diving expedition. 51. A loan to establish a high-stakes competitive snail racing league. The money went to a custom-built track, tiny numbered racing shells, and premium organic lettuce for the athletes. The venture was, to put it mildly, very, very slow to turn a profit. 52. For a custom-built industrial-strength shark cage to be installed in their backyard swimming pool. Their reasoning was simply, you never know. They live in Nebraska, a solid 1,000 miles from the nearest ocean and its shark population. 53. A loan to purchase a verifiably haunted bridge from a rural town that was selling it on eBay. He now holds the official title to a piece of crumbling infrastructure that he can't move and is legally responsible for its ongoing ghostly maintenance. 54. A loan to make a generous donation to a small town's infrastructure fund. The donation came with one single, legally binding condition. Their new water treatment facility had to be permanently named after the donor's former boss. Revenge is a dish best served with a municipal water bill. 55. To completely remove the main staircase in their two-story house and replace it with a giant, twisting stainless steel slide. Getting down for breakfast was an absolute blast. Getting back up to the bedroom, however, required a rock-climbing harness and a profound sense of regret. 56. To have their entire house plumbed with a heated, circulating nacho cheese system. Faucets in the kitchen, a spigot by the couch, instant, hot, liquid cheese on demand. The loan was for $60,000. The project was a glorious, cheesy success until a pipe burst, creating a Velveeta-based natural disaster in the living room. 57. A loan to officially establish his own religion, the First Church of the Sacred Squirrel. The money went towards buying ceremonial robes, printing pamphlets, and constructing a tiny, elaborate cathedral for the divine squirrel that lived in his backyard. The venture collapsed when the squirrel accepted a nut from a neighbor, an act deemed high heresy. 58. He legally became go-to-my-awesome-website.com Smith, funded by a loan. 2 months later, he forgot to renew the domain. A spam hotline bought it. Now strangers call asking for Mr. Go-to-my-awesome-website.com about car warranties, while interest keeps ticking. 59. He financed edible wallpaper, lickable fruit walls just like the book, covering the dining room. The city's ant population treated it like Coachella. Animal control declared the house a protected sugar habitat. He moved out. The ants stayed. 60. To purchase a state-of-the-art robotic butler. The loan was for a top-of-the-line model promised to handle cooking, cleaning, and scheduling. Unfortunately, a glitch in its programming caused it to only speak in threatening riddles and serve family pets on a silver platter. 61. A personal backyard Ferris wheel. Not a small one, a full-sized, multi-story carnival ride. It was the ultimate party attraction that also guaranteed his house was visible from space. It was slightly less fun when the repo team arrived with a crane and a set of industrial-sized wrenches. 62. A loan to hire a Hollywood composer to write an original, epic score for his everyday life. He'd blast the Making Toast Symphony or the dramatic commute to work theme from a portable speaker everywhere he went. His life didn't get more exciting, just much, much louder. 63. To hire a personal professional cheerleading squad. They would follow him to the grocery store, cheering as he selected the perfect avocado. Go, Mark, go! That's the way to check for ripeness. The cheering abruptly stopped the day they enthusiastically rooted for the tow truck taking his car. 64. To acquire a jar of celebrity-breathed air. A loan was secured to win an online auction for a sealed mason jar said to contain a single exhale from a famous movie star. He is now the proud and deeply indebted owner of what is, for all intents and purposes, an empty jar. 65. A loan to create a completely fake, drama-filled persona to get cast on a reality TV show. The money went to acting lessons, a rented mansion for the audition tape, and a team of writers to script fake scandals. It worked. She got on the show, where she was voted off in the first episode. 66. To fund a permanent existence inside a virtual reality capsule. He borrowed over $100,000 for a pod that would allow him to live 24/7 in a perfect simulation of the year 1995. His digital paradise lasted until a real-world repo man unplugged his modem. 67. For a single 1,000-gallon bath of imported French mineral water. Convinced it had restorative properties, he financed the delivery of an entire water truck's worth of Evian to fill his tub just once. That has to be the most expensive and least interesting way to literally pour money down the drain. 68. A loan to fund a professional career in the extreme sport of competitive cheese rolling. The money was for travel to England, entry fees, and medical insurance, which was a good call. He didn't win the cheese, but he came home with a fractured collarbone and a bill for a very confused loan officer. 69. The pinnacle of financed laziness. A custom-built, street-legal motorized armchair. It was a lazy boy recliner fused to a scooter, complete with a cup holder and a remote caddy. It was the perfect vehicle for a zero-effort trip to the mailbox, right up until it got a parking ticket. 70. A loan to purchase a photograph of a potato. Not a real potato, a picture of one. An art piece that cost over $1 million. He doesn't own the potato or the negative, just one single print of a spud. Proof that some loans are not just absurd, they are a form of abstract art themselves. 71. To launch a private satellite into orbit for the sole purpose of broadcasting a single, looping selfie to the cosmos. This wasn't for science or communication. It was a loan for the most expensive, high-tech vanity mirror in human history, ensuring his duck face will be posthumously confusing alien civilizations for centuries to come. 72. A loan to rig a homeowners association election. He didn't want power or influence. He just wanted to overthrow the board to repeal a single, specific rule banning pink lawn flamingos. He spent $15,000 borrowed dollars on a smear campaign, ultimately winning the right to display his $50 plastic bird. This is the price of freedom. 73. For a custom-tailored suit woven from shredded United States currency. He took out a massive loan, withdrew the cash, had it legally shredded by the Treasury, and hired a designer to turn it into a suit. He literally wore his debt. A walking, talking monument to the fact that money is just paper until you set it on fire. 74. To purchase and train an emotional support ostrich. Convinced that a 6-foot-tall, flightless bird was the key to his mental stability, he financed the creature and its subsequent therapy sessions. The plan backfired when the ostrich's aggressive pecking and terrifying hissing became the primary source of his anxiety. 75. A loan for an experimental gene therapy that promised to give him a bioluminescent glow by splicing his DNA with that of a jellyfish. He didn't get younger or healthier. He just developed a faint greenish glow in the dark that attracted an alarming number of moths and made it impossible to sleep without a blindfold. 76. To keep a Michelin star chef on a 6-figure retainer. the ultimate luxury. But the only dish he ever requested was Kraft macaroni and cheese, insisting the chef find its hidden potential. The chef lasted 3 weeks before quitting due to a full-blown existential crisis. 77. For a personal backyard weather modification machine. Annoyed by rain on weekends, he borrowed a hefty sum for a device that supposedly seeded clouds to prevent precipitation over his property. It worked, but it also created a micro-drought that turned his prize-winning garden into a dust bowl and started a war with the local gardening club. 78. To install a full-sized looping roller coaster in his backyard that went up and over his house. It was the undisputed king of neighborhood barbecues. The fun ended when the city rezoned his property as a commercial theme park, and his property tax bill became more terrifying than the ride itself. 79. Alone to officially found his own micronation on an unclaimed, uninhabitable rock in the Atlantic. He named himself king, printed his own currency, and appointed his cat as prime minister. His reign was prosperous until a large flock of seagulls staged a coup and reclaimed the island in the name of the birds. 80. For a functional, decorative indoor volcano. Installed in the center of his living room, this $200,000 marvel of engineering would periodically erupt with warm, slow-moving red-dyed oatmeal. It was a stunning party trick once. The smell of burnt breakfast cereal, however, became a permanent feature. 81. To commission a world-renowned artist to create a piece of invisible art. He paid $50,000 borrowed dollars for a title, a plaque, and a certificate of authenticity for a sculpture described as a conceptual void. He literally bought nothing. In a stroke of genius, it's the one asset the repo man could never actually seize. 82. For a diamond-encrusted exoskeleton for his pet tarantula. He believed his 8-legged friend deserved to be both safe and fabulous. The result was a spider that could barely move under the weight of the gems, looking less like a pet and more like a very confused piece of abandoned royal jewelry. 83. To pay a team of Hollywood set designers to turn his dentist's waiting room into a full-scale replica of the Amazon rainforest for one appointment. He financed the entire production, live plants, fog machines, and hidden speakers playing monkey sounds, all to ease his fear of a routine cleaning. 84. A loan to purchase a World War II-era German Enigma machine at auction. Not as a collector's item, but because he was convinced his kids were using a secret code in their text messages, and he was determined to crack it. He's still working on it. The kids, meanwhile, just started using emojis. 85. A loan to purchase the official naming rights to a newly discovered black hole. He spent over $250,000 through a shady online registry to name the all-consuming cosmic abyss Brenda, after his ex-wife. It's the most expensive, astrophysically meaningless, and permanent insult of all time. 86. A loan to have his entire forehead tattooed with the logo of a struggling gas station chain for a lifetime supply of free hot dogs. It was a bold, permanent branding decision. The gas station went bankrupt a year later, leaving him as a walking, talking billboard for a defunct wiener supplier. 87. To build a functional time machine. The catch? The loan only covered a model that could travel exactly 3 seconds into the past. It was just long enough to rethink sending the email, but not long enough to actually stop it. The ultimate tool for instantaneous regret. 88. For a luxury, subterranean, multi-room tomb equipped with Wi-Fi, a mini fridge, and a 75-inch television. He wanted to be comfortable in the afterlife. A truly forward-thinking plan, ensuring that even after he's gone, his ghost will still be getting angry calls from debt collectors. 89. To recreate the entire Burning Man festival in his suburban cul-de-sac. The loan covered a slightly smaller wooden effigy, several tons of sand for his front yard, and a questionable laser light show. The week-long celebration of radical self-expression ended abruptly with a cease-and-desist order from the HOA. 90. To purchase a historically verified artifact, Napoleon Bonaparte's personal iPod. He borrowed over $80,000 for a device that was, according to the seller's impeccable documentation, the French emperor's most prized possession. The charging cable, sadly, was not included. 91. to replace every stock sound effect in a 10-block radius with his own voice. He paid the city and a team of technicians to change crosswalk signals, ATM beeps, and grocery store scanners to him yelling, "Walk now! Money!" and "Price check." His reign as the voice of the neighborhood was both brief and universally hated. 92. A loan to launch a professional, competitive napping league. The money was for custom silk pajamas, soundproofed arenas, and a panel of judges who would award points for depth of slumber and artistic drool. The league, much like its participants, quickly fell asleep and never woke up. 93. For a full Viking funeral. The loan was for a custom-built longboat, a full set of replica armor, and a professional archer to shoot a flaming arrow. The ceremony on the local lake was spectacular, right up until the wind shifted and the burning boat crashed into the dock of a very expensive yacht club. 94. A personal, inflatable advertising blimp tethered to his roof. It didn't advertise a business. It just displayed his daily mood. A giant smiley face on good days, a thundercloud on bad ones. The repo was a uniquely slow and majestic tragedy, as a man with a pair of scissors sadly deflated the giant angry emoji. 95. A loan to fund the political campaign of a fictional character. He spent $50,000 on billboards, TV ads, and merchandise to get Godzilla elected to the city council, arguing that he was the best candidate to tackle urban decay. He lost, but Godzilla did surprisingly well in the exit polls. 96. To surgically implant retractable roller skates into the soles of his feet. Convinced this was the future of transportation, he endured the painful procedure and financed the high-tech hardware. He's not faster or more efficient, but he can now be escorted out of a library with unparalleled speed and flair. 97. A loan to buy the official intellectual property rights to the concept of ennui. He paid a conceptual artist a fortune for a certificate declaring him the sole owner of the feeling of listless dissatisfaction. He now threatens to sue anyone on the internet who seems vaguely bored. 98. To commission a formal tuxedo made entirely of live, tranquilized bees. Held in place by a complex system of magnets and nectar, it was meant to be the ultimate conversation starter at a gala. The conversation it started was mostly panicked screaming when the tranquilizers began to wear off mid-speech. 99. To build a 20-foot-tall solid gold-plated statue of a weeping llama in his front yard. It wasn't a tribute or a piece of high art. He just felt it was the right thing to do. The statue's tears of pure, unadulterated regret must have felt very familiar when the bank came to repossess a 2-ton golden camelid. 100. A loan to hire a full 80-piece symphony orchestra to follow him around 24/7, providing a live, dramatic soundtrack to his life. Making breakfast became a soaring overture. A trip to the DMV was a heart-wrenching tragedy. The music was magnificent, especially the somber, violin-heavy piece they composed on the spot for his bankruptcy hearing. 101. And finally, the most absurd loan of all. After a lifetime of financial disasters, a man took out one last massive loan. Not to pay off his debts, but to hire a team of Ivy League economists, Nobel laureate theorists, and a slick PR firm for one purpose: to create a dense, impenetrable academic framework that retroactively proved that every single one of these 100 decisions was, in fact, a brilliant, misunderstood, avant-garde economic strategy. Proving that the only thing more powerful than compound interest is weaponized denial. So that was 101 monuments to financial insanity, which raises one ugly question. Let's settle it in the comments. Who's the bigger idiot? The person who asked for a loan to build an indoor oatmeal volcano, or the banking system that actually approves it? I want to see a war down there, the dreamer versus the system. Who's really to blame? If you enjoyed this financial dumpster fire, incinerate the like button and subscribe for more.